when I get to this point where I go, yeah, if things just didn't work out for me, even if things like somehow just go to shit, I will be at your local cafe making the best damn cup of coffee on my way to make my next big move, because I know that I'm brilliant, because I know that I'm capable, as long as I don't let setbacks hold too much weight for me. Being limitless is knowing your success and your growth are built on a radical belief in yourself. Limitless is honoring your purpose, your health, and impact above all else. Limitless is never playing small, because the more alive you feel in your life, the more growth and success you attract. Hi, my name is Jamie Raternann, and I am a holistic business coach, meaning I am just as invested in growing your health as I am in growing your wealth. With 11 plus years in brand and social media marketing, I help rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. This show is here to encourage you to become more radically aware of your self-imposed limits, to break free of your shoulds, and to expand your brand into a movement led by you. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to another episode of the Limitless Podcast. Right before I hopped on this episode today, I was asked a question that I've been asked before, but it's just kind of funny that I was asked if my name is Jamie or James. And it just reminds me of the fact that I actually have a whole group of friends that thought I was a man before they met me in person. I used to run a lot of organizations in college, and I would email them from that. And then when I met, actually one of my close friends, her name's Amy. She was like, "Wait, are you the Jamie that emails me all the time? I thought you were a man." But in fact, my name is Jamie, not James. In general, I'm okay with you deciding to nickname me from time to time. But I am absolutely in love with the fact that people don't know which gender I am sometimes, because let's be serious, sometimes they take me a little more seriously before they realize I'm a woman, and that's fine with me for right now. But talking about loving yourself in every which way, and talking about what we see in ourselves. Today's episode, I am going to talk to you a little bit about my own journey to, getting to where I am now. So seeing as it's February, we know that Galentines Day and Valentine's Day are about to have us thinking about who really loves us, who in our lives treats us in a way that makes us feel nurtured, heard, and cared for. While the people in our life do create a strong connection and bond with who we are becoming, I'd like to dedicate this episode to your most important relationship, the one with yourself. And I think the best way for me to do this is to share where I'm at on this journey. So as of the recording of this episode, I have been in a relationship for a decade with my fiance. He has known me since I was 23. I can certainly tell you the journey of 23 to 33 comes with many shifts and changes. And especially when you throw entrepreneurship and starting a business into that mix, there's been some interesting moments that the fact that he loves me is a big deal. But the reason I want to bring this up when I'm talking about self-love is that the way I show up in my relationship with him, whether we're feeling really blissful, whether we're feeling silly or arguing or just frustrated, has so much more to do with how I am feeling about myself in that moment than what he's particularly doing or not doing. So when I'm feeling insecure, I tend to not believe him at his word. When I'm feeling, when I'm feeling myself, when I'm feeling good about myself, I tend to attract his attention. When I'm feeling tired, I tend not to listen. When I'm feeling calm, we tend to have our best conversations. When I'm judging myself, I take a lot of what he says as criticism. You get the picture. So being able to know that when we are talking about self-love, it has a absolute ripple effect in how you show up in your relationships, how you show up in many areas of your life. But this is why this is such a core part of not only me talking to clients to be leaders, but also if you're really trying to build this life that you want, what it looks like is starting with yourself first. So today's episode, while I'm talking about self-love, know that it has this ripple effect for everything that you want to do in your life. So let me tell you what I don't love about me. I am impatient. even with how fast I speak in these episodes, you can imagine how much my own thoughts are racing and how quickly I want things to be done. I am honestly quite cutting about how I look and feel in my body now. That is definitely such an area of focus and growth for me lately, but it is something that, I wish I could be a little bit better at. I tend to get caught up at times with where I should be in life, my business, and sometimes have this story that I believe others are just snickering at my pace, how slow or fast I'm going, whatever it might be. And then I'm also deeply connected to my emotions, which in truth, I do love now. But Fred, my fiance, would tell you that can turn into having a deeper meaning or overanalyzing the smallest things into something much bigger than they need to be. So the reason I wanted to give this dose of realism is while I am talking about the ways in which I love myself in this episode, I get to grow in these other areas, knowing that taking a self-love journey is a lifelong relationship first. So I'd love to tell you now how much I do love where I am and how I know this can help you. So I'm going to share what I love about myself and what I think has contributed to it. So first is I have developed the I am capable of anything gene. After taking a lot of risk in my life, I've been able to prove myself when push comes to shove. Everything is usually working out for me. That lucky girl syndrome. Thank you, TikTok, for putting a term to it. So as long as I put myself first, I believe that everything is working out for me. Everything is going to be working in my favor. The time in which I've felt that I couldn't do anything is usually when I've allowed others' opinions of me to hold more weight than my own. So whether that's an egotistical CEO who didn't think brand marketing mattered, you can go back to the hustle episode to hear about that, or a once friend who preferred that I don't outdo her, I've handed over control of my capabilities to others. But until I showed up for myself, being an entrepreneur made it a big part because I had more control over my journey. I continued to grow in listening to my own voice more than others and giving it that space to know that I am capable of whatever I set my mind to, or I am capable, especially when I know that it will all fall into place at the time it's supposed to. So I have this, almost running scenario, especially when I'm talking to clients about their money mindset, is that when I get to this point where I go, yeah, if things just didn't work out for me, even if things like somehow just go to shit, I will be at your local cafe making the best damn cup of coffee on my way to make my next big move, because I know that I'm brilliant, because I know that I'm capable as long as I don't let setbacks hold too much weight for me. So really what this being capable of anything gene is saying is that setbacks are always going to feel temporary when you believe fully in yourself. The second piece is that for my self-love journey, this one's a really important one, is that I have embraced that I am the creator of my life and timeline. Now, this one has a story. So probably about 6 years ago, I was putting marriage pressure on my fiance. Where I'm from in Ohio, people get married usually by 25, 28. So at that time, I was in the process of planning a friend's bachelorette party. And the thought came to my mind is, why aren't Fred and I talking about weddings? Like, we'd been together for 4 years at that moment. And after playing about 20 questions with his commitment to me, it feels like somebody who I don't remember anymore, but I was absolutely trying to find a way for him to tell me why he didn't want to marry me. That was what it was. If I asked a number of questions, I could, get him, figure him out before he knew. But he knew me well enough to finally say to me, so do you actually want this right now? Or is someone else telling you it's time? At the time, I did not understand what he was saying. I was annoyed, to be honest. But after journaling, I realized that it would have been the stupidest time for us to get married. I was truly deciding that I held more stock in letting other people's timeline define mine than what actually would be inviting and comfortable for me. Fred was finishing nursing school. I had just started a new business. We were both like really building our lives, and then throwing in a wedding into that system would just have been silly, right? So cut to now being 10 years together for 10 years and preparing for our wedding. I was writing our love story the other day, and it's so fulfilling. It's so amazing that our upcoming wedding now gets to be this celebration of all we've experienced in the past decade, instead of this need to prove that we've kept up with others' timelines or what is societally appropriate for how long you're in a relationship before you get married. So as I say this, I know that being with someone for 10 years without getting married is different, but it makes sense to us. So the idea here is your timeline doesn't have to make sense to anyone but yourself. And that's where me realizing that I'm the creator of my life and timeline is also about how I hold my needs and how I want to create my life much higher than others and what others want for me. So letting others not control me. That's the point, right? So there was a moment where, of course, this has come with speculation, where I was asked, like, when you get married, like how many times that's been asked of me. But I can certainly tell you that affirm we are happy with our relationship as it is right now doesn't come with that many follow-up questions. So being really confident about where you're at in life, if you're worried about how others are perceiving you, as long as you're really confident that of what you're doing and how you're feeling, this takes some reflection, right? Most people will, match that energy. Like I can tell you, like the relatives, well-meaning relatives who ask these questions, they just like, oh wow, she's confident about where she's at. It's not, oh wow, she's mean. It was literally saying like, interesting. And like that usually allowed me to move on to a new subject or be able to kind of talk in a deeper way. So you are the creator of your life and timeline. That comes with deciding that the way you want your life to look is the most important. So this next one is a little bit of a harder one. I just like one part of my self-love journey had a lot to do with the fact that I feel my feels and try not to see any emotion as bad. So I probably cry at least twice a month, and that's probably being really nice. But I'm also can be slap happy 3 times a week. My level of wanting to still be a kid at heart is something I hold dear. But there was a time where I would launch a program and go, why can't I do this right? Or I would be so hard on myself and just sit unconsciously feeling so many emotions, but my conscious brain would be in this go mode. I was like, I got to create content. I got to send the emails. I got to do all of the in between. In general, I can't stop myself now to feel these feelings. Instead, I'm going to push myself and do these and just keep going. So what that turned into was that I'd turn off my computer at whatever time those days. Hell, it was probably 7 or 8 p.m. some of those days. And that would turn into these dead, tired evenings where I couldn't do anything more. I'd scroll the internet mindlessly until bedtime, sometimes past midnight. Let's be clear, if I find a good episode on Netflix or even just something I could binge on Netflix, I would stay up late. Why was this happening? It was because I would not feel my feelings. I just decided that this was how tough life had to be. Now, this one particular area of my self-love journey has come through a lot of work with therapists, somatic healers, and in general, having more vulnerable conversations to find out what was really stunting my emotions. And honestly, like the fact that I wasn't feeling my emotions, it was creating this block of like me really living the way I wanted to. So my hustle, masculine self couldn't imagine the person I am now. I can tell you that much. But the only way I could start was to do something that was absolutely awful when I started it. So I'm about to recommend it to you. So if right now, like you find yourself feeling like you need to scroll at the end of the day, or you like in general, any parts of my story talking about this sound like you, it might be time for you to feel your feelings. So what I did at first was I started by simply setting a timer for 3 minutes. So when I was just feeling this like battle going on between my unconscious and conscious thoughts that I just couldn't really, like, I was trying to push myself through work and I realized there was just something going on. I would let whatever that emotion was that was like lying underneath express itself for 3 minutes. And I would put the timer on because I would, if I didn't put it on, I would just be like, okay, 5 seconds and I'd go right back on in. So I want you to imagine me sitting in my chair, begrudgingly honoring myself, saying, I feel stressed. Why do I feel stressed? I'm frustrated that this didn't happen the way it should. Like just being able to literally like walk through in my mind, what was the emotion? Why was I feeling it? Did it hold any weight, really? So whenever I would let that time pass, the funniest thing happened. I would get back into my tasks at hand and I could actually move through them, honoring what was going on. So the fact that I started that, and it's turned into many things now, this makes me better in my day-to-day. So this is now turned into honoring my clients' emotions even more. So not feeling any judgment really whatsoever on others. Like I want to say, like, you know, even if I do have that ping of judging somebody else, I can reflect it back to me going, why are you judging them for what they're wearing, what they said, how they're feeling? Does that make you uncomfortable? Like I'm able to now, because I've brought this practice of why am I feeling this way into my life, it's released this idea that I'm going to make judgments of others because I'm not judging myself. I think that's something that's a part of this, is that I realized the more I judged myself, I felt that I could judge others, because judgment really is you trying to make yourself feel better in a lot of ways. So that releasing that has been such a profound piece of my self-love journey. And it's not easy. It's like actually day-to-day work. But even more now, like I feel so proud if I have a client, especially in the mastermind, we feel all the emotions. There's the celebratory, we're dancing, there's like full on crying and frustration, there's anger, because if we can't, master, or we can't manage how we're feeling, it's really hard to get to on the things on task. And I've learned that for myself, and also been able to see how when I encourage it out of my clients, the next day they are feeling 100% better. And it just makes me so happy. So honestly, at the end of the day, this is me loving my tears as much as my laughter. This is also where self-compassion, and I'm saying like relentless self-compassion, is one of the biggest byproducts of understanding this. So with the full spectrum of emotion, I'm honoring my body and nervous system, but also by doing all of those things, joy feels sweeter. Sadness feels temporary. Like when I'm having a shit day, I'm like, tomorrow's going to be better. Tomorrow's going to be different. It's not, why am I like this? It's just one of those days. And I can even say that this particular part of my journey helped me even to find the celebration in grief when losing my father. So having the full spectrum of emotions is such a big deal in your self-love journey. And I'd love to encourage you to think about how much time you're paying attention to it. Of course, you can try my 3-minute timer rule at first and see how it goes. The next part of what I've kind of worked through is I'm bolder than I've ever been. So exercising, being more bold in my everyday has been a big deal. So being bold also meant for me to release the be humble gene. Like we're not humble. We don't need to be humble anymore. So sometimes I would truly feel and know that I am the best damn coach for my clients. And when I see like their success and their growth happening, I want to shout that I am living my life's purpose. Being bold really is about living out what your intuition is telling you more than what other people would say is appropriate. So bold has meant everything from taking a nap midday when the to-do list is still looming, finding that I truly look good in a bold red lip, saying no, and knowing that I deserve to say no. But of course, launching this podcast, another project, something that a previous version of me would never have imagined I could do. It's bold. It's taking those bold steps. So boldness in a different definition is, not giving a fuck about the limiting opinions of others. And that's true. But I prefer to see being bold as trusting yourself to stay and enjoy the journey of becoming the person you want to be. I even do this exercise with clients with this in mind sometimes. So let's call it, if I were a heartthrob celebrity challenge. Let's just call it that. So first, who is your celebrity crush? Okay, you've got them locked in your head. I'm sure you fantasized about them before. And I want you to ignore the how, but this celebrity has decided that you are their soulmate in life. How would you show up in that relationship? Would you take care of him or her? Would you make sure you spend that time doing that? Would you get excited for date night and get ready extra special? Would you follow through on your promises? So just thinking about, have a little fantasy of what it would be like to be with your celebrity crush, especially if they felt the same way about you. So now's the point where you decide, how does this relate to yourself and your own self-love journey? So whatever you were just thinking you were willing to do for your celebrity crush must be the minimum of what you would do for yourself. Just considering that. Consider that when taking these bold steps towards who you're becoming, that you are creating a romantic, supportive, caring relationship with yourself. You are in a relationship with yourself. So how can you treat it that way? This last one is newish, but an ultimate favorite of mine. It's to romanticize as much of my life as possible. So it's not about waiting until special days to treat myself. It's not about letting wins pass me by. It's not. It is about celebrating the little things. It's about presence. It's about realizing that I am alive now. Not just when I decide to go on vacation or when I'm really doing well in life or in business. I'm alive now. So romanticizing my life has looked a little more like buying myself flowers just because, lighting a candle when I'm in creative mode, even dancing while I'm in the kitchen and cooking. Like that's been a lot of fun lately. Even to sometimes I'll put on that dress that's in your closet that you have no reason to wear it. You have no event to go to except I do it anyway. And I wear it around the house. That one's actually really fun. Buying expensive, like a little more expensive, like skincare, or even deciding to do that 20-minute meditation instead of my 3-minute. Just knowing that I deserve the extra 20 minutes. I deserve to live in this moment instead of just getting by and doing the things on my task list. So this plays out in those ways, but also about loving my body while I'm working out. I will be in my head at Orange Theory going like, wow, I'm running 6 miles an hour. Wow, I feel good in my legs and my hips and my whatever. Thinking about those things. It's also giving full attention to my partner or my clients in a conversation, making sure that I'm not thinking about what I'm going to respond to them. It's like listening to this person who wants my full attention and giving it to them. It's also about taking a step back and looking around at my apartment that I love, the city that I'm in, or simply just being in the moment and seeing it like I'm in a movie. In general, romanticizing your life can also be interpreted as being the main character of your life. Definitely. So romanticizing has helped me get a little bit of dopamine each day instead of waiting to hit the goal or do the big thing or get the accolades. I'm going to decide I'm happy, grateful, present now. Instead, it's about enjoying the process much more instead of wondering why I haven't hit the goal. Like I enjoy the fact that I got the workout in today instead of thinking about what it's going to do for me in the long run. That idea. So romanticizing your life is definitely a really fun one. So this is the journey. This is my own self-love journey. I could definitely say it's been in high gear, especially in the past 6 years. But it's a big share for me to tell you all of these things. So let me know if you see yourself in any part of my own self-love journey, whether it's seeing that you're always capable or being the creator of your own timeline, feeling and honoring the full spectrum of emotions, adding more boldness into your life, or finding ways to romanticize your everyday. This has had a profound effect in the possibility I see in my life, and also helped me to release any feelings of selfishness when I'm asked for what I need. So I ask for what I need when I need them, or I set boundaries, even though I know it might create friction with others. It's for me. This life is for me. So self-love is about respecting yourself more so than being popular with others. It's honoring that your strengths and your suffering both have a place in your life, and that it can truly feel like you belong because you belong to yourself first. All right. If you love this episode, please let me know by subscribing to this channel and leaving a review. My goal is to spread this kind of love to all my listeners, and by leaving a review, more people get to learn and share from my experience. So if you're new to my world, please also follow me over on Instagram at Jamie Raternann. Until next time.